There are many things you need to be okay with so that you do not get depressed. I've realized that many things you're not okay with is what leads to your depression a number of times. So today, I want to talk about things you need to be okay with so that you can live long, live well. My name is Anwili Ojeikere, the winlos. I'm sure by now you should know my name. And I'm sure by now you should know this is my only YouTube channel. So please feel very free to subscribe and do to click on the notification bell so you can get notified with amazing content. Has it not been amazing? All right, so the first thing I need to be okay with, it's be okay with people not liking you. I want to reiterate, be okay with people not liking you. Be comfortable with it. Not everyone will like you. Not everyone will like what you do. Not everybody likes what I do. They can hail me and say, oh, I love what you're doing. Compliment, but they may not really like what I am doing. Do you know there are people who have money and yet they are depressed? Because why? People judge them. They're not okay with it. I've seen it. There are people who, who are doing amazing things, but they are not comfortable with what they are doing because people judge them. You need to be okay with it. Be okay with people's criticism. Be okay with people judging you. Be okay because you judge, you talk about people. So be okay with people talking about you. I've come to realize also that many people cannot take in what they give out. You criticize people, but you can't take it in. You judge people, but you can't take it in. You backbite, but you can't take it in. You gossip about people, but you can't take it in. So you see, that's the point. So many times you want people to satisfy you in a certain way that you don't satisfy others. And many times also, even when you give people nice reviews and they don't give you in return, be okay with it so you can live your life long and well. 2, be okay with your body shape. Be okay with your appearance. You have a big nose, be okay with it. See, God is not a fool. He knew the right materials to make you into the shape that you are, into the look that you are. Until you are okay with how you look, you will not command attraction. There are many persons who are not satisfied with how they look. I have been there. I remember one time before I got married, way back, I would pray and say, God, give me hips. I was very hipless. I didn't have body, I was very tiny. I had an uncle then, I said it a couple of times, he'll call me scientific linga. That kind of thing. I didn't have front, I didn't have back. I was very tiny, like no hips, nothing. I remember padding up a lot. I'll wear some kind of nika, cargo nika, so my bum can come out. Wear some kind of strong padded, inner bras so that my, boobs can really come out. So when somebody sees me like, oh, this girl has front, she has back. And I realized I was just living in deceit, It wasn't there, You get back into your home, you're faced with your reality, and then you start crying, you start getting down necessarily. I was not okay with my looks. I wasn't okay with my hips. I was praying for hips. You know how you see the next person with hips? When the person stands, the person has the right shape and all of that. I was like, oh my God, God, give me figure 8, or maybe I was figure 2 then. That kind of thing. So I was really praying. I will pray. I'll wake up in the morning and say, God, give me hips. God, give me hips. By the time I wake up, I'm still hipless. By the time I wake up, no front, no back. That kind of thing. So I had to come to the point where I was okay with it. Because if I was not okay with it, my husband may not have even seen me. If you don't like who you are as a person, you will not command attraction from people. And let me tell you something. Even when someone is attracted to you, you will never see it because you are not attracted to yourself. I want to say this again. Even when people are attracted to you, you will never see it. You will even see attraction as destruction. You will see attraction as condemnation. I've seen people when they tell them, oh, do you know you're beautiful? Say, I bet don't insult me. It's true. Because why? They don't see themselves as beautiful. So when you don't accept yourself, you can never appreciate people seeing you in a certain way. You always think that they are insulting you, they are mocking you, all of that. So I had to come to the point where I was comfortable. I liked my hipless state. I liked my frontless state. Sometimes I got to the point where I could proudly go without pad. I'm not saying don't pad your bras as a lady, but I was just comfortable with going without it. I was comfortable wearing my trousers, wearing my skirt, without having to wear cargo pants, And I'm not saying these things are bad, but if you do them with the motive of you not being comfortable with your body shape, or you're not comfortable with how you look, you will always live in deceit. You always live in denial. But when you do it with, you just want to just an addition, just wear, just pad up, just feel more good. That's better. But when you do it with the motive of you want to just do it to keep and to live, to create an impression, you are going to see yourself looking unhappy when you pull out all of those things. So you need to be okay with yourself. If you are fat, be okay with it. if you have to do something to trim down, but when you know you don't have anything to do, it's just the way you are, then by all means, please appreciate yourself. Stand in front of the mirror. Tell yourself, you know what? I look beautiful. I look handsome. You are perfectly made in Christ. You are complete in Him. So you don't need to really do so much. The third thing you need to be okay with. Be okay with your current phase. Listen, you may not be where you should be. You may not like what you really have, but you are somewhere. And it's something to be grateful for. No season lasts forever. No phase lasts forever. I remember a certain time when I got married, the early years of our marriage. You know, when I got into marriage, I used to use Kit Relaxer. And when I got into marriage, a lot happened. And we couldn't afford those kind of lifestyle. I also remember times where, you know, we have to like eat food without meat. There was no single protein. You know, you may just perceive an aroma coming from my house and you think, oh wow, this woman, the food there, bam, the protein, everything inside makes sense. But there was nothing, it was just the smell of onions. That's what you could perceive. And we were fine in that season of our life. I remember those times, you know, my husband wants us to stroll. That his definition of romance in that season was, we'll stroll out to go to one mama put for Nigerians. In case you are there in diaspora watching this, you know, mama put is not like, it's not a very fine, you know, eatery, you know, a fine restaurant, a fine eatery where you can just go get food, you know, a very cozy place. It can just be cool as outside on the table, you know. We'll go out there in the night, we'll buy food and we'll smile, we'll laugh at our geez. That was the season, but we're no longer there. There were times where I had to wear thrift collection. Thrift collection, it's something a cloth you know, somebody has worn before, person has now selling, maybe person wore it. It can only like tries wearing or many times and then they're not selling it. You know, you go to the market and you have to buy it. And even as a pastor's wife, I remember in the night, I'll go to a corner in the market where they sell all these things. That one was even third hand. I'll buy this cloth and I will wear it knowing that, you see, there's a global figure in the making. With what I was wearing. Many people, I would go out for ministration and wear these clothes. People would compliment me because why? Even though I was in my season, I didn't look like my season. Because you see, when you are okay with where you are, you don't walk like what you are or what you have. You walk having a picture in your mind. But people who are not okay with where they are, okay with their season or phase, they walk like it. And when you walk like it, you don't become what you are praying for. So you need to be very careful how you behave in a particular season. I will wear those clothes with pride. I will buy a cup relaxer that doesn't look like the kind of relaxer I want. But I wasn't walking like my season. I was walking like where God was taking me to. So you must understand it. Be okay with what you have. This is it. Like right now, I can afford wigs. I can afford certain things that I could not afford years ago. Do you know that I remember times where, you know, I will get this smoked scuba fish. I will pieces it, dice it, hold it for 3 weeks, scatter it. Protein must exist inside this food though. Even if it's scattered, we'll eat it and we eat it with all joy. Knowing that there's something in front, you know, that God is going to make us into. So while we're in a season, so be comfortable with where you are. Be comfortable with your process. I understand that you may be watching some other persons on social media, and you're like, oh, I want to be popular. I want to be a public figure. I want to be this. But can you be okay with where you are currently? Can you be okay with the process God is taking you through? I was never like this. I wasn't this public. My husband wasn't. But you see, right there now, we're just becoming comfortable in where we were and pushing hard. As long as you know that you're not lazy, you're not going to be in that season forever. But just be content, be intentional about being content with what you have, where you are. Because see, if you are not contented in your low season, even in your high season, you will still not be content, because there are always a higher level you always want to attain. There are more things you want to have. There are places you always want to go. So if you don't build contentment now in your low season, in your season of abundance, you will develop an attitude of greed. And if you develop an attitude of greed, even in your high season, you'll still be greedy. That's the truth, because humans are insatiable. So there's always a desire to want more as long as you are living. So you must be content with where you are and stretch for more, but not removing contentment. Do you understand it? Because you can actually stretch for more and not be contented where you are. And then you begin to look out for what other people have. For example, there are some ladies that have to borrow money to get good bags. You borrow money to get good hair. You borrow money you borrow money to shop for the things that you know your bank accounts cannot afford because you lack contentment. So while you desire for more, be content with where you are and what you have. Godly contentment is always gain. The fourth thing you need to be okay with. Be okay with your background, your family status. I remember something, when I was in secondary school. There was a lady then, we're all, classmates and all of that. She used to deny her father's name. She would mention another surname when you ask her. She would never tell you her house address, even though we're staying in the same city. She would never tell you where she's staying. And we're all close, like we're all, in one circle. And so I remember one time when we all went on holiday. So there was a group of friends that came to my house and we're trying to look for where she stays. Somebody described where she said, well, all of us were like, it's a lie. She can't be staying in that area. So one of the days, we now took a stroll. As we're strolling, someone said, isn't this person's house that you're looking for? And that kind of thing. So we now went there. As soon as this girl just saw us from afar, she dodged. We saw her. She ran. So the next day, we went to go and look for her again. And guess what? That morning, she was not expecting any of us. By the time we showed up, in fact, you need to see the toothbrush. I mean, is it toothbrush or train stick? Her mom was using that day with so much joy. Toothbrush. And by the time we were looking for so and so person, because we found out her real surname. We were looking for so and so person, and they told us that that's her mother. When she saw us, she felt like the ground should swallow her. She was like, Jesus Christ. You see? Be okay with your background. Be okay with your family status. Your family status is not your state. That's the truth. Yeah, I mean, that's where you came from. If you really have a choice, you may not even choose your father. You may not choose your mother. You may not choose the background you came from. You may not even choose Nigeria. I beg, not joke. Or you may not choose the president. Like that. So, so what I'm saying is, your family status is not your state. My family background is not my present ground. That's what I'm saying. So your family status is not your present state. What you couldn't choose, you need to accept it. You couldn't choose your father. You couldn't choose your mother. You couldn't choose the background you came from. So what you couldn't choose, you must accept it. That's the truth. But don't be where you're coming from. Push to go somewhere. Push to go further in life. So you see, this girl didn't know. We paid her a surprise visit. We researched. You trust how people can be now, including me. I researched. I found out where she was. And she was shocked. She was so intimidated. She resumed, if I have not heard this one, she resumed school late that time. You see, you keep on running from people because you are running from your status. Where you are, that's the truth. Where your family is. So, and it's not necessary. You get, and if you look at this thing very deeply, many times when you don't accept what you could not choose, you begin to suffer from low self-esteem, and it's not necessary. That's the truth. So you need to be okay with your background, knowing that it's not your present ground, it's not your present state. That's the truth. If you do not accept these things, you're going to suffer low self-esteem. You're going to depreciate in your esteem. You're also going to depreciate in your value, depreciate in your self-worth, depreciate in making friends, depreciate in being amongst people that you should be amongst with. You also, in fact, you also get to the point where you keep on lying about certain things. In fact, and I remember something. That same girl, she will lie about the food that they cook in their house. In fact, even us, when we hear the food that they cook in their house, even we'll be like, we've not heard this kind of recipe. This they even exist for our house. But no, that nothing. In fact, I remember another story. There's one of our classmates, right? She will always say, in the house, their breakfast is fried rice and salad. I'm like, really? My house, we know they chop salad though. She would tell us her breakfast is fried rice and salad. I say, that's so nice. Your parents are doing awesome. That kind of thing. Do you know that one of the days she felt sick in class, she threw up? You know why you threw up? You can't deny it. She threw up, and guess what she threw up? She was casted. That one. I mean, there's no way she can deny it. She threw up. When did she not expect to throw up? It went, hold it back. The thing came out like hard one. It came out. That one, it was so obvious that she ate it by that morning. So please, you see, when you do all of this, you live a fake life. You don't attract reality. You attract more false people. That's the truth. You just attract because you're living a fake life. So you end up faking things around you. And also having a fake cycle. That's the truth. So even when people want to be real with you, you will not accept the real ones. Because this thing, they're natural laws. You just find yourself, entertaining people who are not your class. Even though you should even be with them and be comfortable with those kind of class, but you just find out that you're not attracting, you're not entertaining your reality. You're entertaining fake life, fake cycle, fake talk, fake everything. So you need to be comfortable with your background. It is not your present ground, neither is it your future ground. The first thing you need to be okay with your spouse. Let me share why this point is necessary. When I was single, way before I got married, I was working in an organization, and one of the days, I've seen this couple like 5 times. They'll come around to get some things and all of that. So when they come around, The husband will hold his wife. So beautiful couple. They were coupling, man. You know, if it's on social media, they're going to pose. Husband and wife hold themselves. You know, you are looking